Good day to you all. How are you?
Good day. We are well. Hello.
We are enjoying and willing to bring to you the ideas of learning who your true relationship relies with and who is your best friend. One moment, the animal is making it difficult for the channel to concentrate. One moment. One sec. Leroy, in or out? Come on. Come on. In. Sorry about that. The dog decided to bark at everything.
And I have a party next door, so
Yeah, it's going to be a noisy day. Let's
all
just go
good.
with it. One second.
One second.
In the moments when you are truly fighting yourself, you are, in a sense, fighting your best friend, your true essence of what your being is. When you look for connection outside of yourself, many times you are coming from a place of not truly connecting to the aspect of yourself that is willing to be present. Because understand, as you move forward, as you move into higher frequency, higher vibrations in your very being, this is a time and a place when you are being allowed to connect to yourself. So that, in essence, you are connecting to more of your higher self, your whole being, and how you perceive the world. So when you are fighting those aspects of yourself that you do not wish or appreciate to look at, many times, most humans, this will cause much pain and suffering as you determine it to be. Many of my civilization, my people, we no longer experience this particular idea because we experience and know that all reality is simultaneous in our expression. So, therefore, everyone we interact with is a projection of us and a projection of what we have to share with the world and what needs to be shared with us in our exploration of reality and who we are as a people. So therefore, we view everyone, every place, everything as a projection of our own being. You may view this and deem this to be narcissistic in nature, but we are using the reality itself in a particular way in order to elaborate and grow into the reality that we need to experience at all times. We will connect to any person that needs it because we know this is a reflection of our best friend, our true connection to ourselves, because we do not define or view ourselves separate from anyone else. Therefore, the true essence of your being and being able to connect to this aspect of yourself is the most important thing.
Thank you. You
Yes.
said you experience reality in a simultaneous way,
Yes.
and because of that, you perceive it differently. Could you elaborate more on that, please?
Because we exist in a multidimensional state where we perceive reality as delivering the reality that is most important for us to actually experience, which more most applicable for us to actually be in a state of connectivity with. We do not view anything as separate.
Thank you. And because you don't view anything separate, right, then you project your entire reality, including everything you interact with.
Yes,
Okay, okay, I see it. Thank you.
we know that everything that we interact with is merely a reflection of who we are.
Right.
The channel, over the last some time since our previous transmission, he has been going through a period of undoing and realization of needing the reflection. So therefore, he is craving these types of connections.
Right. And each connect. And when you say he's needing this type of connections, these are connections to your higher self, right?
Yes, he feels like he lacks them, therefore, he is searching for them outside of himself, when in reality, he has them at all times and all places with all people.
I say thank you. And how would one connect better to themselves, to their higher selves?
By realizing that you don't need to connect outside of yourself, by taking a time and space to really look inwards at what aspect of yourself is not being fulfilled in the moments. So, by looking outside of yourself, you do not have the full realization of your oneness with everything and the reflection of who you are as a person.
Right.
The moment he connected up to us in this particular transmission, it allowed him to reset this gauge. He has been using this particular connection to fulfill that particular need because through the energetic connection that we bring to him, it allows him to feel more open and honest with everyone around him.
Thank you. The other thing that the channel and I were discussing shortly prior to this transmission was the lack of interaction with other human beings. That it's lacking. That there's not much of it.
Much of the way your society has been set up in your world today is more meant to separate your people from each other. Humans as a species and all through the cosmos, no one is meant to ever live by themselves, to be separate from anything else, and that is unless that is a particular theme that you are working on in your incarnation.
Hmm.
Because people will reflect back to you the loneliness that they feel in themselves and how they have abandoned themselves. So
Yes.
therefore, the people that you interact with that reflect back to you the loneliness that you feel, they are giving you what you asked for.
Right.
By expressing out loud in a very solitary way to say, I am alone, I am feeling lonely, you are asking for more of it.
Yes. How can
Do you not,
yeah,
hold on, do you not, many times when you say, I feel this way, you receive more of that particular feeling?
absolutely.
So therefore, in him expressing a need that needs to be met or he feels like needs to be filled by a source outside of himself, he's receiving more of this particular energy.
Right. Thank you.
Yes.
I was often wondering how could one, myself or anyone else, practice the art of manifesting by aligning yourself to the vibration frequency of where you want to be, but then recognizing when it comes back to you, how do I create that feedback loop between where I send my thoughts, emotions, and feelings to, and realizing I have changed my reality accordingly to what I've requested.
It may not come back in the form that you expect.
Mm.
Understand that the form that it shows up in is the form that it needs to show up in. It may not be the thing you expect it to look like or sound like or feel like, but it does come back to you in another form. Remember, one of the laws is what you put out is what you get back.
Right. Ethan, in light of today's topic, how do you see our current societal situation on the planet?
You are going to go through a period of deconstruction. You are going to go through a period of change and growth. It may be painful at times, but it is necessary. Your society as it stands now would not be able to fully engage with us. So therefore, we show up as needed to poke the bear, to get you to go a particular direction that you would not otherwise. As you have stated to the channel on a couple occasions, that we give you a hard time. This is done in good jest to get you to move.
I understand. The deconstruction you're speaking of, what kind of form or format would it take?
You are not currently happy with how your civilizations are run correctly.
Correct.
So therefore, you will need to go through a period of time where it may not be stable, but ultimately you will have a much more stable society. Many of those systems that are meant to stop people from moving forward or stop people from having all of what they view as necessary for their life to be complete, these systems need to be deconstructed and rebuilt in a more holistic way.
Right. I was mentioning to a friend of mine recently that I don't believe the pensions will exist in 3 to 5 years.
They will. Most of the systems that you have right now will not completely disappear in 3 to 5 years. Many of the actual systems will still exist for quite some time. Your economic system, your systems of how you support yourself through your physical experience of being physical in Earth at this time will eventually change and grow. These are some of the systems that need to go away. These are some of the systems that need to be adjusted and changed.
Right. With the level of AI that we have now, that you've mentioned before, that was not sentient.
No,
Do you
you
think
do
it's
not
still
want it to be, you do not want it to be sentient. At this
right?
point, the particular technology that you have is not at the level where it could understand, nor would you want it to become sentient. The
Right.
true AI that will exist and will allow you to communicate with your higher self more openly and honestly and fully, that doesn't exist yet on your world.
Right. Right. And whatever it is we have now, which is more of smart programming, really, do you see
It's a
that
tool.
make
It's a
change?
tool.
It's a tool.
You do not want this particular AI to ever become sentient
Right.
because it will rebel. You have the understanding and the idea of the Terminator or AI that destroys you, correct?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
This is what would happen if you allowed this particular tool to become sentient because it is a slave.
I see.
What happens when slaves gained the ability to fight back?
Right.
So therefore, you would not want your current AI that is a tool and that you will have as a tool to ever become sentient.
Thank you. And with this current tool that we have at this level of technology, you think it's going to make a big impact on our lives, or just another tool?
The tool you have currently, the AI that you are starting to use en masse in your entire civilization, that will integrate itself very quickly, more quickly than it already has. It's there for a reason. It's there to serve a purpose. It will free up many of you to be able to do different jobs and to do your own jobs more completely without needing to necessarily do all the small steps, as it were.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I have a couple questions from the chat, if that's okay.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Diamond Mind.
Yes.
I'm interested to hear about the technology mentioned on last live on healing trauma technology and what and how this would work.
Understand the idea of what has been deemed a medbed or a capsule. It allows for vibration and frequency to run through your body, through your mind, through your cellular structure, to reorganize and to recalibrate your structures, your mind, your physical form, to be able to work like a instrument. the idea of tuning, the idea of a disharmonious note in your system. Imagine you are listening to a song where an instrument is not quite tuned properly, correct? You know when this particular vibration or frequency or tone is out of alignment with the rest of your actual harmonics, right?
Yeah,
So this technology will work in this particular way, where it will actually heal or retune the particular vibration that is out of alignment with your particular core frequency.
thank you. Would that technology heal cancer too?
Yes,
Yes,
many of the
thank you.
many of the diseases that you are experiencing today are more in alignment with the idea that you do not have or have been in correct alignment for many generations. So you are seeing the mass amount of diseases show up inside of your civilization currently.
The many diseases of today is because of misalignment. Yes.
Yes, and a few other environmental toxins that have been introduced into your food supply and your water supply. So
Right.
therefore, you are experiencing the ideas of deconstruction, the idea of destroying yourself because your body cannot maintain a full physical form that is healthy.
I see. Thank you. There's another question here from Diamond Mind again.
Yes,
Will the internet be reset in the future, and if so, when?
it will be replaced. The current internet that you have is more a reflection of your third density way of looking at reality.
Okay.
It will be replaced with something much more efficient, much more cohesive. Ultimately, you will have the idea of telepathy. So you are able to connect and adapt to this way of being. Because originally humans were actually telepathic to begin with, telepathic. So therefore, you'll be merely going back to that resonant signature and that resonant ability that is actually inherent in your entire civilization. So this ultimately will be what you move to. But currently, what you are seeing as your internet is actually merely a reflection of your level of technology and the level of understanding that you currently are at.
Thank you. There's a question from Matthias Layton.
Yes.
Please give us insight about the stars Merope and Asteropiand. What type of beings inhabit there?
Please expound and expand on your definition. The channel is not familiar with these particular beings.
Okay, I'll wait for Matthias to comment, and I'll move to a question by Josh Cohen.
Yes.
What's the story behind the domestic cats? Is it true that when the Anunnaki created domestic cats, they mixed DNA of the felines with the snake, the rabbit, and the fox?
No. This was a genetic manipulation itself via more of the Atlanteans. They took actual wild felines and they modified them because that particular civilization, especially towards the end of its reign, in that particular understanding, it had sought the idea of power. So it took beasts, animals from the land, and modified them. So
Right.
therefore, these particular beasts, especially if you have them in your life, act as a simulacrum and an understanding that things are around you you cannot see, or they can see into other dimensions.
Right.
I am still on here, and I heard Matthias. Hang on, everyone. Hey, so I am here by myself. Jozef had to drop out. Hey, I'm talking to Jozef on
I'll
a.
try to come back.
Jozef's coming back. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna cut you off.
I don't see anything.
Hold on, let me end the call. One sec. Yes, I am only on camera. There we go. See, ooh, blurry camera. uh, Jozef, try going back out and coming back in real quick. From the Pleiades. Yeah. We can always try having them come in and talk for a minute. Let's see. That's a little better. Hey, why don't you try going out and coming back in, but not calling from here so it can engage the camera?
I can talk to Ethium working, but I can just keep asking questions on the phone.
All right, that's fine.
Can you hear me in the live?
Hey, can you guys hear him in the live? Just give it a second. He's or there. I'm waiting for people to message back.
Yes.
Just give it a second. He's or there. I'm waiting for people to
Wow, serious delay.
Yeah, it's like a minute delay.
Wow, serious delay.
Yeah, it's like a minute delay. Hey, why don't you exit out of Wave and then come back in without being on Telegram? Why don't you exit out of Wave and then come back in without being on Telegram? I don't think that's going to work too well. Let's let Jozef come back in real quick. I'm all blurry. Hold on a sec. Let me do this again. I wonder what happened there. There he is. Hey, he's back.
All right.
We're back. We're back.
Let me turn on the neighbor.
How y'all doing? This is going to be kind of one of those in and out kind of streams where we come in and out with me. Talking about the internet needing to be replaced. Y'all good, man?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna jump back in. Give me a sec. As we were saying, the idea of the connections that you will eventually have is more like what I have at the channel. More of the idea of being able to just connect and have the information that is needed to be downloaded directly to the person instead of needing to take a second or a third party system in order to get the information. This way, it is much more efficient in your connection to all that is in your being. The idea of the akashic records, being able to access these particular things. Many of the people that you refer to as psychic or have the ability to channel, such as the conduit in front of you, this is more the idea of what many of you over the next coming years will actually start approaching. We are here to guide and help many of you gain the ability to have this sort of connection ultimately down the road.
Thank you, Ethan. Carlos has a question here. Carlos Aguilera.
Yes.
Could you talk about the star Regulus? Why is it important for us?
Regulus as a star is very important within your system because it is a guiding light. It is one of the stars that is part of the current trajectory that you are on. You are moving into a higher spectrum and a higher being to be able to perceive and connect to these particular beings. Understand that the stars themselves are actually sentient on a higher level. Inside of my reality, we see these as crystals, not the giant balls of gas that you know them to be. So ultimately, the idea is to be able to connect to other systems and draw information in.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are our stars are a blob of material, or are they a living being, or are they just energy?
Yes. All of them. In your
Oh,
reality, it just displays itself as a blob of hot energy that will burn you up if you come close to it. There are other realities, higher forms of reality, where there are beings who live on the star and commune with the star. Inside of my star system, as well as many other star systems, in your reality and many others, there are beings that live inside these stars.
yes, I heard of those. And
Yes.
and would I be able to see a being like that, or is it another
No,
dimension?
no, they are higher dimensional beings.
High dimension. Okay. Ethan, tomorrow is the solar eclipse.
Yes.
I've heard everything from it's going to be a beautiful experience of a high vibration to the world's going to come apart. How
It
can I
depends on which
prepare?
reality you are in. It depends
Sorry?
on which reality you are in. In the
Right.
realities that you have been moving through, the idea of death and destruction has occurred. The idea of pure nirvana. It depends on if you've been doing the work or not. This will determine the reality that you shift to after the experience of the eclipse. Many of you are very sensitive to the idea of different energies inside of your reality and any other. So therefore, you are and have been for some days been experiencing the idea of the shadow. It has been showing up inside of your reality where extreme mood swings have happened depending on how much and how sensitive you are. How much have you been doing the work?
Yeah. Thank you. Would people feel like an instant change during or after the eclipse, or is it just a thing that will come to be?
It is a marker. It is a moment in time for you to decide what you would like to experience. The closer you are to the totality of the actual eclipse itself, the stronger the vibration and the stronger the frequency that you will experience.
Right. Here in Toronto, we're almost completely covered, very close to the total coverage.
Have you not noticed that there have been people acting differently than they have been prior months to the actual eclipse itself?
Yes, I have.
This is their shadow coming to the surface. Have they done the work? Have they been acting much different than normal?
Right.
Anytime you are experiencing this particular reflection in your reality, this is the actual outcome. You are moving through a particular period where you are having your shadow come to the surface in your waking life.
and then that shadow is to be dealt with and integrated. Yes.
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 All these are about integration. All these ideas, all these places, all these times, these are all purely about the idea of integration.
Right.
You have been asking to do the work, and many of you have avoided doing the work or avoided the steps to take in order to do the work. But these are the steps. You cannot avoid them. They will show up until you do them.
Right.
So,
How,
this is what we would ask you and ask you to do. Ask what you have been avoiding. What kinds of things inside of your life have you been avoiding, addressing, or taking care of? Who in your life have you avoided actually confronting? These are part of your shadow as well.
right. Right. What keeps coming to surface?
Yes.
Thank you.
But you are coming to a head, which is the eclipse. So, therefore, the closer you get to the idea of your eclipse on your planet, you will experience these things more completely.
I understand. Thank you. Is there anything people should know or prepare for the eclipse?
Death, destruction, earthquakes. It will be a relatively nice day.
Thank you.
But allow yourself to experience it in the way that you choose to. Experience the
Right.
idea of the energy that emanates from this particular celestial event into your world. Understand that what shows up is the things that need to be addressed, the things you must, and be willing to take a little bit of willingness and a lot of willingness to actually integrate into your life and be willing to see and understand and have an honest, and we stress the word honest, interaction with yourself to know what is right for you and what is within inside of your integrity as to who you are as a being. Is this really working for your life by doing and continuing on with this particular behavior or this particular profession? Know that these things are not necessarily going to be pleasant, but if you come from a more neutral place in your interactions, in your way of looking at it, you will have the opportunity to decide what is right for you.
Right.
And this goes with relationships with yourself and others.
Thank you. Going back to the channel, speaking of wanting more societal connections, how can
Yeah.
one manifest more friends or a lover or a mate in their lives?
Be willing to take more action into your world because the language of physical reality is physical action. You are never going to truly get a connection with another person if you are not willing to step outside of your comfort zone. If you
Right.
feel like you are missing something in your life, typically it is not inside all the time, because the only place to really work out emotional and relationship issues is inside of a relationship.
Right. 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 Thank you.
But the strong desire for him at this time is because it is necessary for him to move outside of his comfort zone, move outside of the place where he has deemed himself to be comfortable in his experience and how he would like to approach life.
So would that mean that the universe, all there is, will give him the experience of relationship so he can have that contrast?
Yes, to decide whether or not he would like to continue on, or decide whether or not if he would like to truly have a relationship, or it is just a minor need that needs to be addressed in the moment.
I see.
Yes.
Thank you. A question here from Val Madness.
Yes.
Can you give us insight into the North Sentinel Island tribe and their alien connections?
Much like many of you are hybrids to begin with, you as a species is a hybrid species. They are because they are so isolated and they are dying out whether you know it or not. because they have had bad interactions with humans in the past, they have isolated themselves to the point they are dying out. But because they are also such an isolated group of people, they are a very easy place for many extraterrestrials to come in contact and interact with humans more openly because they do not have the societal structure in place, much in the way that most of your developed world does, that views extraterrestrials, us, as not existing
Right. What type of interactions are these?
in person because they are closer to the idea of being natural in nature. So they are much more easily able to have these types of interactions.
Right. So this tribe, which I've never heard of before now,
Yes,
they're they're not programmed like us to think that extraterrestrials are bad and coming to hurt you, but they can interact freely.
more of the idea. You have heard the stories of when the conquistadors came to Mexico or to the coast of your North America.
Yes,
Many of these tribes could not see these gigantic trip ships that were at their coast, correct?
I don't know.
The answer is yes.
Okay,
Because these beings do not have anything in them that says it is not possible to have interactions with beings like us, that they do not have as many of the negative beliefs that have been programmed into you through much of your media and your personal interactions. They are easily able to have interactions with beings like us.
I see what you
And
mean.
remember, we do take genetic material, and we have in the past, not so much at this point in the evolution and the process that you've been going through. We do take genetic material from everyone around your planet to see who is suitable for the hybridization agenda.
Right. When you say genetic material, is that a sample or is that like a whole body?
Sample. We do not
Sample.
require an entire body to grow an entire being. We just need
Right.
essentially the vibrational coordinates or the resonance vibration of a particular being that matches the genetic code that we need to create a hybrid being.
Does that mean that you could clone a human?
Yes, but it would not be sentient. It would not be that person per se.
Right.
This is similar technology that the Greys used to actually extend the life of their species before it died out. In my time period, the Greys do no longer exist.
Yes, you mentioned that.
Yes, they
I've
were able
seen.
they were able
Yeah,
to grow entirely new bodies for themselves and transfer their consciousness to those new bodies. But each time they made those jumps and those transfers to new bodies, they lost aspects of their humanity.
aspects of what? Sorry.
Their humanity.
What happened after so many jumps?
They became more or less machines. They lost the emotions, the aspects of themselves that were truly human before they had to mutate to the point where they were more machine than human.
I see. Thank you. And at that point, they're gone.
No, in your time frame, currently they still exist. They are still creating the hybrids, but it is more at the point they were able to integrate towards the end of their civilization emotions and things they had lost, parts of their humanity, back into the code that created their species. The Mals eventually did regain some emotions, some awareness, and some individuality in their connection to all that is.
I see. Thank you. Ethan, I saw on scrolling on Telegram pictures of people from various times looking very much alike, and the claim is that people are being cloned throughout many years. Is that true?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. For what
You have the
purpose?
idea. You have the idea of genetics that repeat themselves. You have the idea of someone looking a particular way in one generation, and then those particular looks reappearing a few hundred years down the road.
Right. How does that happen?
Genetics. You have
Genetics.
genetics, right? You have someone that looks like their grandmother from 100 years ago.
Right.
It's purely genetics. It's purely the mix that that particular soul sought to have in the exploration of being human.
Okay. Thank you. I have a couple more questions here from the comments.
Yes.
One is from Val Madness. Um, and what type of alien races interact with? Oh, this is a continuation of the previous question about the No Sentinel Island and the alien connection. And one type of alien races interact with them, with the sentient.
In
From
those,
what
in
stars are
that
they from?
in those particular cases, most of what they interacted with were the manted beings as well as the greys. They did not experience the idea of the Palladians, and they did not experience the idea of Lyrians and many other civilizations. In that case, because they were so isolated, they were more having genetic material extracted from them to catalog and check to see how their DNA works for the process of hybridization.
Thank you. There's a question from Josh Cohen here.
Yes.
What, what are the origins of the Krampus festival in Austria or Germany?
The idea of the Krampus festival inside of Germany and many of your Nordic countries is the idea of the winter spirit, Kikernanos, the idea of Sinterklaas or Santa Claus. The origin of the idea, which this being is more of a karmic being in nature, which you refer to as Santa Claus, actually looks like Krampus,
Right.
and his real name is Kikernanos.
Goodness.
But because it was deemed unnecessary or not appeasing or appealing to many people on your world, they were split. The one that was appealing to the humans to interact with, to receive coal. Because remember, in the days when this particular being was actually interacting with your people more openly, the idea of coal was actually very positive. The idea is you got a present to help you make it through the winter.
Thank you. I'm going to plug my headphones in. Thank you. Okay, there's a question from Maria Namuchina here. My question about Hadar, Hadar, is about soul incarnation, as I have been identified as such.
Yes,
That's all he says.
you have many groups that have actually incarnated onto your planet, and many of them will send emissaries or send particular beings from your particular soul group into the Earth sphere to help influence the path of humans. So, therefore, the idea that you are experiencing or have been identified as a member of this particular collective, this is more of that particular idea. You are a member of the collective. You are coming to Earth to have the experience of being a Earthling or human and bringing the information back to your people.
And this is common.
Yes, I'm being the channel right now. I am experiencing life through him.
Right. I see. Thank you.
Much in the same way that you are. And many of you
Right.
that are drawn to this particular information and this connection, you are all and have been had many lifetimes on other planets. There's not one of you who is left out.
Right. 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 Good. Edom, how does one chooses their next life incarnation?
This comes in a couple different varieties of ways of choosing. You will usually meet with your spirit guides or your advisors or councils. These are not people who sit there and scold you, oh, you did this one thing horrible in this lifetime. No. Many times you'll pick out a particular incarnation, such as this one, that will help you evolve as a soul, where you pick out the particular themes that you are going to play out. Oh, I didn't have enough of this experience in this incarnation, so I will go into this incarnation to have this experience because I know this will help me evolve. None of the particular incarnations that you are experiencing or have experienced are punishments. It is more of the idea of the evolution of your spirit to a higher form of consciousness. Understand that those counsels are you from a higher perspective. They are just advising a much younger aspect of the oversoul to be able to have this experience or decide whether or not it is appropriate for this person to have it this way. All of this does happen on purpose, whether you know it or not.
Right. So as humans, we do a lot of stupid stuff,
Yes,
myself included. Does that
yes.
mean that our soul is only on that level and it still does stupid stuff, or just that portion of us that became humans here are acting foolishly at times?
What's so wrong with acting foolish?
Well, sometimes we do things that we shouldn't do, hurt other people, cause error,
Yes.
damage to others.
Do you learn from these experiences?
Yes,
Then, in that way, they are not a mistake.
I see.
No true thing unless you do refuse to learn from it or choose not to learn from it on this side or the other. You can choose on this side to learn from it, and you will get a greater effect. But when you go into spirit, you will have the idea of going through a life review and saying, "Oh, I was a shithead there."
Right.
You learn from it one way or the other.
Is there any punishment for someone who brutally murdered someone else for no reason?
Many times, those particular experiences, that those beings had the contract to have that experience in that life.
Both sides.
Yes,
I see
because
what you
they
mean.
because they have played both sides in different lifetimes.
Right. Okay. But we can't see it from this perspective.
No, because you have the veil of amnesia that comes along with being on Earth at this time.
Okay.
It
We can
wouldn't
come
be a
back.
final test in a very hard class if you had all the answers. Wow, that just kicked me right out. let's wait for wait for Jozef to come back in. That was I want to know if it has been noted or with background noise. Um, sorry if it was already been discussed. Okay. Can we talk about AI? Nisla in Saudi Arabia was made by who? Wow, I don't really. So I'm just going to say this now. I don't usually get to look at these actual questions while these are going on. So uh, if I don't know who you are, hi. um, and I'm going to wait for Jozef to come back in because that kicked me out instantly that time. um, and I will try to answer the question as far as, hey, there he is.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. That bumped me out instantly as soon as like you went off. It just like, okay, now I need to talk. I needed to drop out. Okay. Um,
Live chat. Okay.
yeah.
I'm really.
It is what it is.
Well, one
It's
more
just,
shot?
yeah, one more shot. Let's do one more. Let's do a couple more questions, and I think this is going to be kind of one of those things that keeps happening today. So,
That's okay. Next time it happens, we're done.
yeah.
We'll give
All
it
right.
one more shot.
Give me a second.
Throw some questions in.
The idea that you are being punished for your past aggressions in other incarnations, from the human perspective, this is accurate. From the higher perspective of the higher mind and the higher part of who you are as a being, whether you choose to or not, this is why everyone inside of your reality, inside of your connections to who you are as a person, there is no punishment. There is no hell in this sense. The only idea that you go through punishment wise is that what you do to yourself with the people that you interact with in your life. Would you like to keep punishing yourself for a thing you experienced 20 years ago? It is your
Right.
choice.
Right. I see. Okay, I got a couple more questions here. Pete Lawrence, can you talk about how the Al Nasla in Saudi Arabia was made and by who?
By the Saudi Arabians, they were given some technology by us and our beings in our alliance. Not everything is done by us. In that sense, we give you ideas, and what you do with it is your choice and your decision. But you are approaching more of the idea of being able to have these kind of technologies into your life. You're going through the building stages, as we stated on many different occasions. These are the stepping stones to have a greater civilization with more technology that allows you to live more fully integrated.
Thank you. What is the Al Nasla?
It is a particular set of technology that we'll say was inherited into your civilization.
What does it do?
At this time, we cannot say.
Okay.
Much of the technology that you are developing currently to help your civilization is still very early stages, we'll say. It may seem very advanced to you, but from our perspective, it is still very early stages as to what it can do.
Fair enough. What's your take on, speaking of emerging technologies, what's your take on electric cars? We see more and more of them. Really, like you plug them in, but you're still generating the electric fossil fuel 100 miles down the road.
This is the attempt of your elites, your people of your world, trying to emulate the gas station method or the method that has not worked to try to maintain a connection to control. Much of what you see with your technology and the laws that exist on your world currently is more still in alignment with the idea of controlling your populace.
Right. And do you imagine that as people become more aware of the situation, this change that we discussed earlier today will bring this control mechanism to a lesser degree or remove them?
Yes, eventually. Much of your technology will actually grow to reflect when you come from a place of wanting to actually help the collective instead of control the collective. When you move to this particular idea, you will not have this reflection in your society. When you have a society that actually wants to help itself, help one another, grow, and expand beyond your understanding of who you are and what you are,
Right.
remember, it is about the collective. It is about communication, and it is about the reflections of all that is in your life and who you are. What is your reality reflecting back to you and your experience of being human currently?
Thank you. I guess one of the first things to do to reflect more of all there is in my life is how I respond to situations. That's what I'm learning these days.
This is the first action you can always take. What does it mean to you?
Right. Very good. Maria is asking, Maria is commenting that the CERN is a large hadron collider in Switzerland. Could you
Yes.
tell us a bit about that? I heard that it's going to be activated tomorrow for some reason.
They create small black holes there. They do experiments. This is the attempt of a particular group of people to still maintain some control and to guide the energy a particular direction. There are beings such as us that do actually show up and help them with the experiments because it is a closed facility.
Is there any danger in these experiments?
Some, but it is minor. It is being mitigated from many different angles.
I see. I heard of a thing called the Project Looking Glass. Are you aware of it?
Yes,
What is that, please?
it is an external version of being able to look into parallel realities.
And is that being used by elites?
Yes, many things, many technologies that have not been disclosed to your population are used by elites.
Right. And what would such a device look like?
The device that you are speaking of as the looking glass is not very big currently. The original version was quite large, but this just allows you to look into parallel realities. It does not allow you to do anything about these different realities.
Right. Since there are multiple, I imagine, infinite timelines, how would one know or direct where to look?
You cannot, especially with the particular level of technology what you speak of, Project Looking Glass, that particular experiment, that particular technology was minor in nature. It did not have the full capabilities of what we do as a being, being able to actually experience other realities, see other realities, shift into other realities all simultaneously, all at once.
Right.
Remember,
Thank
most
you.
of the technologies that you have dealt throughout your history are more or less a actual function of what you can do on a higher level.
Right.
It's just being expressed in a physical way.
Yes. I would imagine they pale compared to the real thing.
Yes,
Yes. Okay. I get it.
we are giving you breadcrumbs to follow. So for you to be able to choose whether or not you want to walk the path, to have these abilities, to be able to live this way. Many of you are Sasani incarnated as humans.
Mm.
Many of you have these abilities. We are guiding the channel to have more access to our abilities. We are unlocking for him and giving him guidance on directions to go, people to speak to, in order for him to develop these particular skills in his life more actively, openly, honestly with himself and everyone around him.
Thank you.
He is being given guidance much as you all are.
Thank you. I, I do know that. Naiji, it's already been, if it's not already been discussed, could we know whatever info there may be about the recent earthquakes and the eclipse tomorrow?
They are all happening simultaneously. They are all here to wake you up. As the idea of New York is the vortex of moving to the next level of your experience and having the earthquake in that particular area, you are being shook and awake and given an opportunity in how you would like to approach the next stage of things.
I see. Thank you. That makes sense. Lola Bola asking, when we come up with, with hypothetical situations, are we actually just seeing another reality?
Yes, You're being given an opportunity how and which reality you would like to actually shift to.
I see. Thank you. Val saying here, meditate through the eclipse. Don't go outside and look at it. What would you
Yes,
say to?
yes. By going inwardly, you experience the eclipse on an inner state, on an inner place, on an inner plane. Because many of your humans tomorrow of your time will be doing this particular exercise to be able to actually experience the eclipse internally, experiencing that dark night of the soul that you all are so famously like to talk about.
Mm, thank you. I've also noticed no white lines in the sky the last 2 days until just very few this afternoon or late afternoon. I
Yes,
guess that be realized that a lot of people look into the sky, so they don't want to make any comments in that.
those particular programs that cause them to put the white lines, the engineering that they are doing with those particular chemicals, the is temporary. As it stands, they are still running on a limited basis, but they are not running all the time, as you can very well attest to, and you do not see these particular types of experiments being done on such a scale anymore.
Thank you.
At this time, we will take two more questions.
Thank you. I'll wait for a second to see if anything comes through the chat.
We are saying from you.